Hello, Drunkduckers. Welcome to the Quackcast. Hi, Bades. Hi, Tarts.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh my god! And this
Yeah, we are three over here, so apologies.
All right, and this is the Drunkduck Quackcast. Cue the music. Inspector Gadget. Da 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 da.
They stopped to look.
So this is the Drunkduck Quackcast. Hey guys, we're talking about influence today. And authority, perceived authority that people get from influence, and being popularity as well, power position, and just being a good person online, trying to be good and be responsible. So these are the kind of things we're talking about for various reasons. I don't know. Should we mention the specifics? I think we should, maybe, because it's not going to make sense when we talk in generalities. Things are just in a cloud of whatever. So last week we had our Quackcast about porn in comics, like sexuality in comics, all that kind of stuff, and we mentioned various things like the idea of doing like tracing porn to draw a porn comic will leave you with a dull, empty result. And one of the lovely people who listened to us was a creator on Drunkduck, listened to this, and it struck a nerve and resulted in them not only deleting their comic on Drunkduck, but deleting their comics on all the internet and their Instagram account and their comics all over the place. And oh my god, that made me feel like crap. That I had any influence over this sort of stuff, and I did have a bit of a conversation with them, and it just seems to be that it's probably just came at a moment when they were feeling down about their work, and it sort of just pushed them over the top. But it really does sort of bring home the idea that when you have a bit of influence and perceived authority online, that does give you a responsibility to use that wisely, because it can be harmful to people in various ways. So, us on the Quackcast, we really don't want to be harmful to people, and we want to sort of help people, because that's the purpose of our Quackcast, purpose of Drunkduck as a whole. We want to help people create, not turn them off from creating. And sometimes we do say things that seem like they have more authority than they do, and we're very opinionated, extremely opinionated over various things. I mean, I know I am, and I try and caveat stuff, but sometimes I forget. But the thing is, even though I have these extreme opinions on various stuff, I'm a massive hypocrite. And once I say something is like, this is how it is on one Quackcast, 10 Quackcasts later, or even the next Quackcast, I'm saying completely the opposite thing. So, and that happens all the time. So
yeah, well, Tense and I have been putting together a documentary that's going to take you down.
Yeah, we're going to do Ocean Ocean Exposed.
A hit piece. It's about time. Jeez, how did I get away with it for so long? So that's what we're going to talk about. But first, we got the Quackcast telling us about Donkey Skin, which is a webcomic that she reviewed. So, Quai, tell us about Donkey Skin.
Hello, this is Quackcast, and the feature I've selected for this week is Donkey Skin by Elsie Finn, and it is rated E for everyone. A kingdom of great fortune is about to suffer a loss of luck following a king's toast, asking for misfortune to follow all his kingsmen, but never catch them. Immediately following the dinner celebration, the gentle, wise, and charming queen falls ill. A healer that resides in the basement of a dungeon gives the king and his daughter the option to create an elixir that requires them to make a sacrifice. For every action, there is consequence. For anything taken, something must be given in return. Full pages of vibrant color with an emphasis of golds and emeralds. Dynamic page layout with variety. Discover the secret ingredient of the elixir and read Donkey Skin by L.C. Finn. Rated E.
And that was Quai talking about Donkey Skin. So next up we have the featured music. Gummalus, wow, unbelievably has managed to give us a bit of music this week. He hasn't been able to till now because he's been quite busy at the end of Christmas and New Year and all this kind of stuff, but now he's actually given us a theme, and he's given us a theme to Carl and the Lost Shadow, which was my featured comic from last time. So this music is the haunting, lost, godless sounds of a creepy bassoon, while it moans with the encroaching penumbra as darkness envelops. A climax of uncontrolled chaos shatters the reverie in this ode to the Tenebrae. So take it away, Gummalus, with your theme to Carl and the Lost Shadow. And that was Gummalus with his theme to Carl and the Lost Shadow, which was a comic by Jazzy, and it's rated E for everyone. So, yeah, thanks very much for that, Gummalus.
Thank you.
So now we're going to talk about influence and using it responsibly and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, Tance, you were talking about the idea there's a phenomenon of anyone who is has a soapbox, basically, especially like on the internet, a microphone or a camera, whatever, and it automatically gives them an air of authority. So people think, oh, they must be an expert on what they're talking about. We must sort of give weight to what they're saying. And I mean, not everyone does this, but enough people do it that you do.
Yeah, well, there is an element. I mean, if you ask someone, they will not admit to this because it's not something that is done consciously. It is mostly a subconscious tendency let's call it that, a subconscious tendency to ascribe more value to something that you hear from the news, quote unquote, or from sorry, from someone with a microphone or a camera, um, which is why influencing is a thing. You have all these people that, with or without credentials about anything and everything, and they can be quite influential in creating trends, in creating um, uh, like for like formats of what is cool, what is not cool, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, all of that.
Yeah.
And the more following that the microphone has, let's put it that way, like a creator or a person or whatever that has a huge following is more likely to have more impact with what they are saying than someone who doesn't. But both of them will have a lot more impact in what they are saying than someone that is speaking to you about the same thing, saying the same things at a bus stop.
Right.
So,
Yes, exactly.
And then you have this strange time now where everyone can publish a book, self-publish.
mhm.
Everyone has a microphone. Everyone has a camera. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's extra strange.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it results in all these pseudoscientists and scammers and things coming out
Mhm.
and saying, yeah, stick this egg up your vagina and that will heal this crystal egg. That'll heal you of all these issues. And you think,
Yeah. And they existed before as well. And again, they had other things that make their word have more weight. Like, for example, a homeopathy doctor, and now I might ruffle some feathers because there are many people that believe that homeopathy is a science and not a pseudoscience. And you can do your own research for this. I personally believe and feel that I have evidence that it's not a science. But whatever, okay. Take this with a grain of salt. Don't be influenced by me. Do your own research and all that.
for things like
But
that are part of facts and part of science, I think we can lean on the thing of being a bit more
yeah,
more
I just don't want someone to feel terrible again. But anyway, yeah. So someone that is like wants to make statements about homeopathy is going to wear a white coat, or is going to make sure that you are aware that tests have been done by XYZ really known lab or or a university or agency that is that has authority in medical matters, and that's how they gain weight in what they say, because nobody is going to check exactly what the involvement of these institutions was in them, assuming there was any. And often what they do is that they make some kind of experiment using the labs of XYZ, a really prestigious university or whatever, and otherwise the university is not involved, but they say that it was done there, which is not a lie, but it's not what the other person will assume that means.
Yeah,
So,
basically they clothe it in whatever legitimacy they can, in
yeah,
however way they can.
yeah. But when you have a microphone, you don't need to do too many of these things, because just having the microphone is enough for people to consider that you have at least a level of veracity in what you are saying,
Yeah.
and you know what you're talking about. Um, and there is a mechanism for this psychologically. I mean, in cognitive psychology, there is this mechanism that we judge from ourselves, that when we don't feel confident talking about something, but we see someone with a microphone talking about it, we assume that they have this confidence because they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Whereas we that do not have this confidence don't know what we're talking about, and we judge from our own filter of approach to the world. So
Yes, exactly.
that's the mechanism of influencing, if you like.
Yeah, that's how it actually works. And we talked about the fact that in our video before that the more confidence someone has, the more we think they know that what they're talking about, and whereas the opposite is usually true. It's the more caveats someone has, and the more they can contextualize something, then the more they know what they're talking about. The person who speaks with confidence usually doesn't.
Yeah. And also I would say for this, there's another rule of thumb. The more broad brushing a statement is, the less you should give it credibility. Like, I don't know, all of XYZ geopolitical phenomenon is due to insert country or insert person or insert uh, the Illuminati or whatever. So the more you hear statements that completely broad brush a situation and have no nuance, the less you should give it credit.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, but this applies to everything, even what we're talking about now, even in the abstract. So when we're saying, "Oh, you should always do this or you should always do that," then there's exceptions to everything. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, but for us personally, we're going. I think moving ahead, we're going to try even harder to be when we talk about art and the webcomic world and how people should do various things or bad writing or good writing techniques and all this kind of stuff. I think we're going to work harder to caveat those kind of things we're saying and say, but the opposite can be true, or there's always exceptions. I think we'll always do that, just to be careful, because that's what people perceive that we have more expertise in. So.
Yeah. I would agree in this. I mean, you could have, there is, especially in writing, there is always this challenge that, take the quote unquote lamest trope or the worst kind of plot or, what have you, whatever is considered really, really bad writing, and use this and make something that is really good writing. And it can be done. So what we're saying are general trajectories and rules of thumb. If you feel you feel strongly that this can work, go for it, see if it works, and go from there.
Exactly, yeah. But there's so many things we'll bring up as being bad, and they say, okay, when someone does the huge text dump in the beginning of their comic, the giant text dump, so we'll say, like, just as a general rule, that don't do that. That's a bad thing. But if you have done it, don't feel bad. Maybe it's cool in your example. Maybe it worked well. There are a lot of examples where it has been done badly, but that doesn't mean every single example ever is bad. It could work fine. So.
Well, I mean, remember, like in Fellowship of the Ring, the entire series, the entire trilogy opens with a huge info dump.
What, the movie?
Yeah. The movie. I hear it in the water, the world is changing, the ring. When the ring was forged, blah, blah, blah. And it started, gives you all this history lesson. Bam, immediately. Like, hits you with it. A huge info dump. But it is done, it is done in an extremely cool way. It is the most, like one of the most successful PowerPoints I have ever seen. So, Yeah, I mean, it worked. Info dump. In your face. Bury your face in it. And you will like it. And people do like it. Works.
Well, there
Right.
you go. So, I mean, the thing is, yeah, there's all these exceptions and stuff like that. So when we do talk about this stuff and we broad brush and we say, you shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that, there can be so many different ways where you can do it. Like one of the things that I personally hate is when people have a huge like banner on their comic that takes like most of the screen. You have to scroll up to see the comic each time whenever you go to a next page, and that can be such a pain. And yeah, I might say, like, I hate this, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But there can be like good reasons to do it. There can be a lot of good things. Say you're doing a porn comic and you don't want people offended, then maybe you could make a giant banner saying, "Warning, below is a porn comic, it has adult material. Scroll up at your own risk." That's a fantastic reason to do a gigantic banner.
Yeah.
It could be like like every day you change your banner to be something else, like, and so that people scroll up and they actually read something interesting as part of the comic. It could be like a special image that changes every so often. Giving people a reward. There could be lots of reasons to do it. So even though generally I would recommend against it, there are good ways of using it. So my advice, which would normally be not to do it, like, you don't have to take that as gospel. You can go and use it, but use it creatively. So
Yeah.
that's just an example of something that I would normally recommend against, but it can be useful. So there you go.
Mhm.
And for example, like I have in Verdant, I have this giant banner that takes up the screen, and you have to. And it's totally not for any of those reasons. The only reason it is so big is that I am not sure I want people to look at the logo. That's the only reason. Because it's going to be important later. That's the only reason I have this giant banner interface. And I probably should make it a lot smaller. But what I'm not going to do is feel that my comic is of lesser quality because the general rule is not to do this. And
Yeah.
if I feel uncomfortable with it, I will just change it. That's it.
Yeah, and Chance is going to change it to a photo of her giving me an up your middle finger.
Yeah.
and write Ozone Ocean underneath it just to be unambiguous.
This is for Ozone Ocean. I'm going to flip him off and have a little bow on the finger. Just for Ozone. But yeah, I mean, people experiment a lot. I remember. Oh, another thing I remember when I was making Wolf, which was the comic where I had no idea what I was doing all of the time. Like I was such a I had never made comics before. Had no idea what I was doing, and um, I used to handwrite my bubbles.
Yeah.
And
Stuff.
people they hated it because they couldn't read my handwriting. And then, but I liked it, and I had this thing like, am I too like egotistical and giving people a hard time, or that sort of thing, going back and forth. Then I tried some lettering that looked terrible because all of the comic was so scruffy, and pristine looking fonts were not going. They didn't fit. It wasn't. It looked really awkward. And then eventually I settled in writing in all caps in my handwriting, which was okay, and people could read it, and the issue was done. Um, and I'm saying all of this because I got serious, like I would almost call it backlash in the measures of Drunkduck that you never get roasted. But I really got like, please fix the fix the lettering. It's terrible. And
Okay.
I did eventually. I did, so it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we should, listen to the advice of people, so that can be worthwhile.
Yeah. On the other hand, in Without Moonlight, I got, I think, until at least chapter 5 or something out of the 8 chapters that are there, constant complaints that my bubbles were not good enough. And one criticism was totally valid, in my opinion. They shouldn't be. They had to be totally 100% opaque, and I made them that. But the other thing that I was constantly told was the shape of the bundles, because they are polygonal. And I chose this for a specific reason why they are polygonal. And I really liked it. Nobody else liked it. I kept it. It's as simple as that. I never changed it. So you pick and choose from all the feedback what works for you, and that doesn't make your comic any less valuable. So
Yeah, exactly. Because anything can be made to work if you work on it hard enough.
mhm.
Baines, could you remember anything like you've talked about that you really hate in comics?
Oh, sure. I've talked about the text prologue thing that you mentioned.
Yeah.
We've brought that up so many times, and that's an excellent point you bring up, Tans, about the Lord of the Rings. Did pretty well regarded.
Yeah.
Text thing up front. So in my new comic, it's been now about 6 years of text preamble.
That's actually called a book, I think.
I think it's a book. It's a good point. But I'm sure, I'm sure I've said things on here, just to bring it back to the larger point for a second, that are, could spark someone or hit someone the wrong way. There's no way of knowing who's listening,
Mhm.
It's so strange. When you told us about someone maybe deleting, or someone being provoked by something we said, my first thought, my first two thoughts were like, okay, what did I say? What did I do wrong?
Yeah, same. It was like it was something I said for sure.
And instantly, along with that, was like, people listen to this. Don't even think about that. I truly don't even think about that people might be listening.
Yeah.
I kind of put it out of my mind. Like, it just kind of doesn't even occur to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's definitely a bummer to think about anything.
It is.
Like, sort of discouraging anyone.
Yeah.
Definitely not what I want to do. Not what any of us want to do.
Yeah, we're all about encouragement.
Yeah. There are many things I have extremely strong opinions about, art-wise and everything. I'm not even going to touch the political stuff because everyone knows that. There are certain things that for me are the things that are not for me. I cannot stand certain things. But that again does not mean that because I am speaking about it in a podcast, that means that nobody can use these things. Nobody can do this. Like, for example, I hate memory loss tropes. It's something. It's something that I viscerally hate. I feel that it is one of the worst things that you could use. um, that said, I do not want someone that has this very excited about this idea about the character getting memory loss and doing XYZ things or whatever, to be discouraged from that. Just go ahead and do it. And again, I wouldn't even be adverse to actually giving it a shot and reading it if someone feels really strongly about it. It's just my preference. That's all it is. And
Yeah.
Exactly. That's going to sway your opinion, and
Mhm.
but yeah, it's our personal bugbears. Okay, for me, one of the things I really hate in TV shows, TV series, is when they do the court one. Like someone gets accused of something, so that then they're suddenly all in court
Ah,
and it's a trial. I hate those. Remember back in
oh,
Star Trek fans, they used to always do those.
Sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
I love those. Those are my favorites. Like I eat them up. Like see how deep we are on opposite sides of the spectrum on this one. Like I will eat a courtroom drama.
well,
Anywhere, any place, all the time.
an
I love it.
actual like a courtroom drama in a show that like or a movie about courtrooms, that's fine.
Mm.
But if it's like in a normal episodic TV show and then they have the courtroom episode, that just especially
I
like
don't. I will have it. I will have it anytime. Like I really like
oh,
it.
I so
Yeah.
hate them.
Those are
Star
two of
Trek
my
was
favorite Next Generation episodes, though, where they do the courtroom. They happen to have a couple of amazing courtroom,
they did
sort
so
of semi
many,
courtroom. Yeah.
and they did them in Deep Space Nine, and I don't
Yeah.
I
know if you
remember the
There is
Vortex.
there is an episode of courtroom stuff in the live action. This newest series in Star Trek. Uh,
Discovery.
no,
Oh, not Discovery. Adventures or
that's
whatever it is.
Strange New
with
Worlds.
Pike
There you go.
with the
Strange New
captain.
World. Spain said it.
Yeah, that's the one. And it is excellent. It is top tier. I really enjoyed it. So
No, the episode that influenced Strange New Worlds was, of course, from the original
Oh,
series.
that's right.
It is a courtroom episode.
oh, really?
Oh
Okay.
my god! It gave rise to it, the first one back in the 1960s, which was the first episode ever of Star Trek Next Generation. I mean, it used
Wow.
footage from the first episode because that was a pilot episode and they couldn't use it because it was a pilot, obviously. And so they turned it into a courtroom scene with flashbacks.
And that's why, like, there was a different actor playing Captain Pike in that pilot episode, and then they changed the casting. They cast William Shatner. Now it's Captain Kirk. So that's how Pike was kind of put into canon.
That's why he was born. And if you watch that episode, you can catch glimpses of them all exploring this new planet, and Spock with this great looking at things and going ha ha, laughing and smiling, and you think, oh, okay,
Oh,
they
wow.
changed that. They changed that.
Oh, that's amazing.
But,
Yeah.
courtroom.
Mhm.
I just
Speaking
hate
of,
them so
the episodes I hate in series are the flashback episodes, like when the characters sit around the fire and reminisce about past, which is a filler episode. They
much.
reminisce
the
about
show.
the other episodes,
Yeah.
and they basically do nothing. I hate
Yep.
this.
Well, often courtrooms do have a lot of that.
Yeah.
I mean, not all the
Yeah,
time, but they do.
Yeah, if it is like a token courtroom thing, then it's not as good. I will still tolerate it because I'm a psyker for that. But yeah,
Well, that said,
I can see why.
even though I've said I hate courtroom dramas, not courtroom dramas, but courtroom episodes of something that isn't
Mhm.
about courtroom. So I'm not talking about like, what is that thing, Law and Order, that kind of stuff. I love Law and
Yeah,
Order. That was brilliant. 'Cause that
yeah,
was all about courtroom. I'm talking about like Star Trek where they had their courtroom episode, Farscape when they have their courtroom. They all do that. But even though I've said that and I hate those, like there are ways to do great ones. You could do great things if you did it right. Don't have the flashbacks in there, maybe, and do great things. So like this is an example of me saying something with my made-up authority of being online, having a microphone where I don't have any authority at all. But but my opinion isn't the be all and end all. There are great ways to do things.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, you're allowed to have a point of view,
Yeah. Thank you.
and to express it. Like, of course, But it is also like this. I always forget. Don't even think about the fact that this is a podcast that shows up on the front page of the website. It's a website I visit every day. So plenty of other people do too. And so that also gives it. That's like the microphone camera thing, but emphasized more. And it seems.
Yeah.
It would give things we say some kind of influence.
Yeah.
It's a bit of weight.
Yeah. On the other hand, influencing is not always bad. Like we're talking about influencing people into culling their creativity or into destroying their art and stuff, which is bad. On the other hand, you can influence someone to get better, or you can inspire someone to do something they hadn't necessarily thought of, or inspire someone to look for inspiration, or all of these things, and give extra ideas and stuff. So I would also be reluctant to be like too careful about things. If I seriously, if my opinion is sincerely that something doesn't work or something doesn't usually work, let's put it like this, like in the comparative, then I will say it and I will explain why. If my reasoning, and this is like, take like an instruction in how I would like to be received. Like if my reasoning doesn't resonate with you, or if you have some kind of counter reasoning why the same thing could work, go for it. Nobody is saying that this is the law. I'm just saying that, and keep in mind my reasoning as something to avoid. And if you can avoid it, props, more power to you. Go for it. Do it. Do something that nobody else thought could work.
Yeah. That can be great. Like someone who goes against the kind of what other people think, but sometimes turns into really great, memorable works of art. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very true.
But know, at the same time, know what the caveats are, know what the criticism might be, know what people are going to look for to criticize your stuff. Account for it in your art and in your plot making and character building and world building, and you're good to go. So use it as your as your sounding board, if you like, of what things to consider when creating. It's not supposed to inhibit you.
Yeah.
Yes, very important. Keep on going with your free expression. Like, so many things we say are influenced by our own preferences or prejudices, stuff like that. So we can't be, we're unreliable narrators in a way, which is a good phrase. So that's a literary trope where the point of view character, who you think is your point of view on the scene, you slowly realize, no, they're not my point of view. I can't rely on their vision of events because they're not totally like reliable. So that's how we are. Like we're mostly reliable, I would say. We mostly have some good ideas and a lot of experience.
I think we try to be. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and the thing is, we are you know what, we are reliable narrators in that we are communicating exactly how we see things. And we are communicating our expertise in the things we are experts on, like what we have studied and all of that. And we communicate the reality of our experience. That's all there is to it. If this is someone's experiences, someone's views, and someone's knowledge based on what they have been trained on, in the respective elements that we talk about. And that's all there is to it.
Although when we say like, oh, we hate the prequel movies for Star Wars, and here's why they're bad.
No, that is
lot
fact. Okay, this is a joke. It's okay.
Yeah. Yes. For that kind of stuff, we do sort of veer onto our personal point of views, and so don't feel bad if you love them. And the
people might violently disagree with that. The times when you mentioned like strong political opinions, I was thinking, well, yeah, I have some strong Star Wars opinions.
Yeah.
Disagree
I mean, the case in point, I mean, the prequels are, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen many people, praising them as awesome. But let's take the sequel trilogy, where it broke the internet. Half of the people loved it, half of the people hated it. And, went to war over this. So, yeah, I personally don't like the sequels and the prequels, and I have reasons for it. And don't think I could be swayed on that because it is opinion beyond certain things that I find are objective. But again, it's your own taste in what you like. So if you like these objective things, then there's nothing else to be talked about. You like it, period. Have fun with it.
We don't get into the tribalistic way of thinking that is popular on the internet now, and that's, oh, if you don't like that, then you also must not like it for this reason, and that defines you as this sort of person, and you are on that side of the political divide.
No.
So we don't believe that. If you like the prequels, then that doesn't mean we think of you as a bad person. I mean, if you like the sequels, that doesn't mean we think of you as a bad person. We don't ascribe to you political opinions that you would never have, which, that kind of thing is dickheadish. I hate that.
Yeah.
And scarily influential, too, speaking of influence. I mean, from other voices out in the greater internet. I mean, that's like kind of frightening. How
it is.
All that
and it is so counterproductive as well. I mean, when someone says, I don't like this for this, X, Y, Z reasons, this narrative thing didn't work, this handling of a character didn't work, that kind of feedback. And the other guy comes around and responds with, yeah, you are a misogynist, or you are I don't know, you are a right-wing blah, 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 whatever, or you are a communist, or, what have you.
You're a social justice warrior. You're a
Nazi.
you're
a snowflake, blah, blah. Then it shuts down the conversation. There is no conversation to be had beyond that.
Yeah.
You stop communication. You might as well say, I don't want to discuss it, and just not go into being nasty. So, yeah, we don't do that. We like to talk things out. So
even go for things that people wouldn't normally, go for, just to see what we can garner from the thing, or even things that people do go on and on and on about. Maybe it's always worth having a new take on something. Like people go on and on about the prequels and the sequels of Star Wars. There's a reason for it.
Take for example my latest enthusiasm about a series is Blue Eye Samurai. I really like it. I can't wait for the next season. Like I seriously want the next season. Like now, please. Thank you.
Great show.
So,
I still only watched the first one, but loved it.
Yeah, no. I every time I have watched it twice now, and the only reason I haven't watched like the entire series, the only reason I haven't watched it more times is because I don't have time to do it. That's the only reason, and it is already, I think, pretty popular because it got greenlit really fast and all of that. But the general consensus about the main character is something I profoundly disagree with about the mission. And they talk about how she's like a very cold individual, very harsh and cruel, and all of that.
Spoiler, at least for the first episode.
It's not really spoiler because I'm not going to go into why they think this.
Yeah.
I
No, I mean she. That's a spoiler.
is it really?
It's that twist, you see it coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
Very clear.
Is it really? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Okay. The only reason they don't realize what she is because they don't expect a lady to best them in everything. So in everything warrior style. But I profoundly disagree with this characterization of her. I find that she is one of the most compassionate individuals I have seen, stuck in a very cruel situation. But I am in the minority in this. I feel I'm the correct one, and I feel I can
Really?
absolutely justify why I feel that she is actually a very compassionate person and a very fragile and delicate person inside and outside. Uh, but it's my opinion still. It's the way I see her and the way and the things I look for to make this judgment. Uh, doesn't mean that everyone else is not valid in their opinion. I believe they are wrong. If you ask me, I will say they are wrong. Like all of them are wrong. Yes, all the majority is wrong. You are wrong. But it is again my opinion because for other people, the way that they receive this character is what they say it is, and it is more telling about the point of view of the viewer more than the character. The character is so well built that we see different things.
Yeah.
We are in different cohorts because I think it is a matter of experience and age, how she comes across. Like for someone like me who has been through certain things, I see different things than a younger person that hasn't been through certain experiences. So doesn't mean anything. It only means that you can watch it many times, guys. It's so good.
Get different things
That's
out
all.
of it. Yeah. Well, so
Yeah.
Baines and Tance loved the show. When I saw it, I didn't. So
Yeah,
people see different things
exactly.
in the same thing. And just
And
because I
and
didn't
we
like
see,
it didn't mean that I didn't like Tance or Baines because they liked it. So
yeah.
it was just a personal
He
opinion.
dislikes us for different reasons.
Yes. We still talk to each other. It's amazing.
Through lawyers in a courtroom. So,
Yes, okay. You don't have to specify. Yeah, we are bound by contract to be on this Quackcast.
exactly.
Oh my God, people might believe this, So let's see. Let's put the disclaimer that we're joking. Okay.
Oh dear. Yeah, but yeah, the samurai thing. Like for me, when I was watching it, I felt well, I felt bad because Tance loved it so much and I didn't. But then I wanted to be honest about my opinion. I didn't want to pretend.
Yeah.
So because I thought because I liked Tance enough that I didn't want to lie about something like that. I just wanted to be like honest about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. I feel respected when people tell me what they really think about things, and I also feel happy enough and secure in my own tastes that I don't need everyone to agree with everything I like. So
yeah, I'm
it's fine.
pleased you watched it again and you loved it so much and got so much out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps I, could have like gotten through more episodes, and because that's another phenomenon. Like sometimes you get turned off by a first episode or even a second episode, but if you give them enough time, then they can win you over. But it was, So there's
I'll be honest. I did recommend it, but I didn't think I had my second, not second thoughts, but my qualms that you probably wouldn't like it, because it's not exactly like your taste. I think it does have some elements that you would like, but yeah, I wasn't surprised. That's the bottom line, that you didn't like it.
Well, it wasn't horrible anyway. So yes, it didn't have any horror episodes. Probably does actually later on. Who knows?
Didn't have any what?
That kind of show. It didn't have a courtroom episode, not in the first episode anyway. But
It didn't have any courtroom episodes. No.
Oh dear! It didn't have a text dump either. Didn't have that.
No.
Didn't have a huge info dump thing. So yeah.
It had like 4 lines in the beginning. It sets just the premise that white people are not allowed in Japan, and that's it. And then you are off with the story.
It does have flashbacks.
Yeah, it does have that set up. And then,
Yeah. It has a ton of flashbacks. If you don't like flashbacks, you probably will not like it. So there's that.
Yes. Yeah, it's a good piece of entertainment. It was Netflix, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, a new piece of gear released to Netflix. So let's see, we've got 8 minutes left on this particular Quackcast.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about influence. So I think one of the things we mentioned was the idea that we do have more authority on some things. And this is the Dunning-Kruger effect as well. I mean, the Dunning-Kruger effect isn't like your personal influence over other people. It's your ability, it's your personal confidence in what your opinions about something. So that's a good thing to be aware of when others are talking about stuff. The more confidence they appear to have in a thing, probably the less they know about it. That's just because that is the Dunning-Kruger effect. When you have more confidence in something, you usually know less about it. Because if you know lots about something, then you know in so many situations it could not be true. There are so many caveats. Issues and problems and spectrums and gradients of truth rather than absolutes. Like
the thing is, you know what? It's not the confidence only. It is confidence coupled with the content. And when I say content, I mean, if you are confident, say something and then, list all the caveats, then you know your stuff and you are confident. If you are confident, say one thing and then try to pass it and sell it as the theory of everything, then we have a problem.
Right.
It's like the whole trans argument when people come up with that and they say, okay, so men... Okay, so it's very simple. There's men and there's women. And there's genetics. You've got the X chromosome, you give the XY. It's just as simple as that. And then like a doctor will come along and say, well, actually there's XXX, there's XXY, there's XYY. And these are just the simple genetic factors. And that they've always been around. Always have. But then there's other factors as well, like,
exposure,
cultural, exposure. Perhaps someone is, more, and these traits that you think of masculine and feminine aren't really because they're just cultural, and all that kind of various stuff. So an expert will know all those kind of things, but someone who doesn't know anything will just, gravitate towards the simpler stuff they've learned about, and they won't know all this other stuff, and so they'll ignore it. So that's a good example of that kind of stuff.
Oh, now that you mentioned that, you remind me of, and that's an expert might actually refuse to answer yes, no questions when they are asking something like that, like, are there, only 2 genders? There are no, that sort of thing, because you don't allow this person then to elaborate on, on what is the most prevalent thing, and then what other exceptions you have, and all of that. And I remember there was this one guy that apparently is like this big hit with right wingers on right wingers of the peculiar persuasion. let's put it like that. That they really, they really like very very clean black and white answers and stuff, and they try to have the gotcha moment with the leftists, and stick it to the leftists and stuff like that. And there was this one dude that goes around campuses with a microphone and tries to ask trick questions and force with fallacies the conversation to go towards
a specific conclusion.
a specific conclusion that is the gotcha moment. Like, we got the leftists, and we are the reasonable ones. And I think they asked, like, what would you want in policy? Would you like trans education or something like that? Something about trans people, or would you like welfare for veterans? I don't know, something like that.
It's an emotive thing.
Yeah,
It's only
it's
one
like
or the other.
the most moronic question ever. So this one dude said, I want both. Like, why not both? And he was pissed that he couldn't make this guy choose one or the other. No, this is a hypothetical. You only can have one or the other. And he said, no, that cannot be. We can have both.
Why not?
It does not have a valid background to posit even hypothetically that this is like a conundrum, like one or the other. We can have both. And he was so pissed and so sour about it. And he made this huge rant on Twitter about how the guy wouldn't answer him, and he was a coward for not answering. And of course,
Coward.
and of course he got shredded in the comments. But yeah, it's that kind of binary thinking that it should be a red flag that this person either is not sincere in what they are doing, they have an ulterior motive, or they are idiots that don't know what they're talking about. Bottom line, same thing.
I like that sound in the end. Boom! That was Tance doing the mic drop.
Yeah. So,
Peace out. Peace out.
yeah. Peace.
Oh dear. I think that fits. So we're like almost at the very end of this particular Quackcast, and it's been a worthwhile thing to talk about, because we do have this influence that we really don't, we're not always aware of, and just for the very fact that we're talking on microphones, and like Bane said, we're on the front page of the site for these Quackcasts every week, and we have a responsibility to be careful about what we say.
Yeah, and we are careful about what we say. We are going to be even more careful. But please, guys, use what we say to be creative, not to destroy your art. Okay, please.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We want
I mean,
your
and
art
that's
to
the other
continue.
responsibility, right, that we all have as listeners
Mhm.
and consumers of information and consumers of opinions and stuff. Each of us has that responsibility to sort of choose and to, be discerning, and
Exactly.
yeah.
Oh yes, as viewers, as listeners, as audience members. Okay,
Mhm.
so we're Google is going to kick us to the curb again. So bye,
Yeah.
people.
Bye-bye.
Crackcast 670.
Thank you so much. See
Thank
you.
y'all. Appreciate you.
Adios.
Moon landing never happened.